Now, everyone remembers their best teacher, and often they've made a positive impact on our lives. But are there enough good staff in our schools? The government thinks the entry test for people wanting to enter the profession should be a lot tougher.
Some unions, however, argue that to get good people into teaching, it also requires better pay and conditions. Well, we have Charlie Taylor, the chief executive of the teaching agency.
We'll have to pass this test, and you have to pass it even to get into the teacher training situation. So, do you welcome that? That's interesting, isn't it, Charlie Taylor? I mean, to what extent do you factor in everything about a personality? Supposing, I mean, we were given some of the examples of some of the maths tests this morning, and if you don't pass those, you don't get onto the course. I mean, is that correct? You definitely have to pass. There's no leeway. If you think someone's a wonderful personality, has lots to offer, clearly everyone's on message about the academic rigour, but, I mean, there is a danger that people could be discouraged, people who could have been otherwise really good in the classroom, very inspiring in the classroom, might be A, deterred, and B, fail at the first hurdle. I mean, is that a worry for you?
Or have friends who potentially want to be. How do they feel about it? Or would you, perhaps, to try to skew your answers to what they want to hear, with open questions like that?
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, Joe, and keep us posted on how you get on, because I know...
Time now is 17 minutes past 8. Still to come on Breakfast. Got our own star, our weather star, Alex Deacon, who's at Sutton Bank in North Yorkshire with some gorgeous views, Alex. He'll survive. We'll see you soon, Alex. Now, Britain's economy grew 1% in the 3 months over the summer, but is everyone across the country feeling the boost? Not so sure.
Let's see, time now is 8:24.
A field of remembrance will be opened this weekend. It's going to honour those who've died fighting for their country. It's the first of 6 being planned around the UK.
Yes, the idea is to create a sea of poppies, an effect that's been created at Westminster Abbey since the 1920s. Peter Harris is at the site.
Police investigating the Jimmy Savile abuse allegations have trebled the number of officers investigating more than 400 lines of inquiry. A suicide bomber has killed at least 20 people and wounded more than 30 others in May Manor City.
The family of a BBC journalist who's believed to have killed himself says the corporation has questions to answer about how it handled his claims of harassment by a female colleague.
A retired businessman extradited to the United States on charges of selling weapons parts to Iran is to change his plea to guilty after reaching a deal with prosecutors. Hurricane
Sandy is believed to have caused the deaths of at least 21 people as it swept across the Caribbean. 11 died in Cuba, where the storm caused severe flooding.
Admiralty Arch in London could be turned into a luxury hotel, allowing visitors to go into the historic landmark for the first time in its 100-year history.
Those are the main stories this morning, time 8:35. Here's what's coming up later in the programme. But before all that, Mike's here with the sport.
And we had our own glittering prize earlier, didn't we? The Rugby League World Cup. Huge thing, wasn't it? Did you know that? I didn't know this until they were walking away with it. It was dump, actually, among all the rubbish.
It makes it all more treasured now.
Yes, and it still looks pretty good, doesn't it? Despite all that. Anyway, let's get to the football. Good night. What?
Grand Prix, pretty much.
No! How can you say such a thing? Well, Vettel's come back in recent weeks, taken over at the top of the standings. I mean, Red Bull looking strong again now. It's been such a good season. It used to be, you're right, with Michael Schumacher dominating for years and years and years.
Car, though, hasn't it?
I don't know. Opening a can of worms here.
That's what Lewis Hamilton said.
We'll go for breakfast afterwards. Yeah. Well, yeah. But, I mean, it's been a competitive season, I think you can say.
We'll see what happens across the weekend.
Yeah, and you can watch highlights of qualifying on Saturday at 1 o'clock, and then highlights of the race itself at 2:30 on BBC One on Sunday.
Very good, Mike. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Mike. It's a question that's troubled scientists for years. Why did some dinosaurs have feathers when clearly they were too heavy to fly?
Scientists in Canada think they may have the answer. They believe dinosaurs may have used their feathers to attract mates. And joining us now is dinosaur specialist for flying. I mean, how can they know that?
Well, they know that because the thing is 4 metres long and weighs about 200 kilograms. And so they've suggested that these things were like the tail of a peacock and used for attracting mates.
We've got a picture. Well,
or, protecting the nest, perhaps. So as well as keeping the adult warm, they can be there guarding the eggs.
It's a sort of big dinosaur debate, isn't it, that one?
The feathers are incredibly...
Imagine Tyrannosaurus Rex or Stegosaurus or Triceratops or whichever, with feathers.
Have you got a favourite dinosaur? We were talking about this earlier.
Well, we found bits of the arm, and what we want to do is find the rest. I mean, everyone wants to find a T-Rex.
But how would only an arm be in one place? Why would it all not be?
Might have been ripped off.
What's the theory?
Well, so
One.
It's fascinating. Children are always drawn by dinosaurs, aren't they?
it's
one of those. It's a given, isn't it?
Well, I think it is. I mean,
Going to have to change now, aren't they? You know, you have your images. I mean, your favourite dinosaurs, T-Rex, probably Stegosaurus, because it looked pretty. It had the interesting lumps on its back. But they're all going to have to change if they've got feathers now.
and then actually filmmakers are really worried.
My ignorance. The ones that can fly.
Yes. Birds.
Pterodactyls.
Pterodactyls.
Oh, yes.
Pterodactyls.
Pterodactyls. Did they have feathers?
Oh, they had feathers. That's a fact.
Yes, I think so.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for coming.
Thanks very much. Time now, 8:45. Now, back in the 70s, his flowing hair, earring and bright blue eyes meant he was mobbed wherever he went, and his poster had pride of place in many a teenager's room.
Well, since those heartthrob days, David Essex has gone on to star in a West End musical. He's stirred up a lot of trouble in Albert Square, and now he's embarking on a UK tour. He's going to be here to tell us more in a moment, but let's just take a look at some of his greatest hits.
But see, the thing is,
I
certainly did. I started off on that thing, with the goldfish, which was pathetic.
Oh, that you could never catch anything?
Yeah.
Yes.
And then got
Is it rigged? It is rigged.
It's where, of course, you were the one, and that's where That'll Be the Day was all about that, wasn't it?
It was about
Everyone
that.
wanted to be a dodgem worker.
Yeah. Nah.
OK.
I want to talk about your tour for a little bit.
That'd be nice. That's why I'm here.
You're here for all artists who don't want to play the old stuff. They're just solely interested in the new stuff, which a lot of the fans from the past aren't.
Well,
a rather remarkable thing happened to you during the course of this production, didn't you? You met your wife. Is that right?
Is currently on tour. You can catch him across the UK until December the 3rd.
Alex is out and about for us today in North Yorkshire with wonderful views. Alex, is the time.
Now, the legend of King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table have enchanted story lovers for centuries. Well, 4 years ago, the tales were given a new twist in the BBC fantasy drama Merlin.
The 5th series is now on our screens. It follows the adventures of the young magician Merlin as he helps King Arthur govern Camelot.
Colin Morgan, who plays Merlin, will be here along with Alexander Vlaros, who plays Mordred. Before we chat to them, let's take a look at the show.
Well, Colin Morgan, Alexander Vlahos, both here with us this morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
It's destiny, and it's now about how Merlin overcomes that whenever the biggest threat he's ever faced is right there, right on the right-hand side of the king.
And some of the banter. I mean, that's a big part of what you do, isn't it, with Arthur, and that whole thing of the sort of relationship between you. It's fun. You have a lot of fun with that, don't you?
Yeah, I mean.
Tomorrow night at 8:20 on BBC One. It's worth watching. It was fun. Thanks very much.
Jim Kerr with us in a few minutes' time.
We're going to speak to him in a moment, but first, here's a quick last look at what's happening where you are.
Simple Minds, widely regarded as one of the best live bands in the world, but the last time they set out on a 30-date UK tour was back in 1979. Jim, is that true?
We will.
Song particularly, it's like a kind of an anthem song, isn't it?
Yeah, I think there's a period.
One of the greatest hits tour, so to speak.
Next week we're back in the studio
I'm
recording.
glad
See you
you
here
said
today.
it. Lovely seeing you.
Thank you
Thanks
very much.
Simple Minds' Greatest Hits tour next spring and go on sale, as Jim was just saying, this morning.
That's it from us. Breakfast is going to be back tomorrow from 6. Don't forget that on Sunday morning, remember, just an advance reminder, you need to turn your clocks back by an hour.
We will remind you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
See you.